6 p.m. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Kanuz Ashraf. First, the headlines. Pakistan has expressed serious concerns over U.S. motion with Financial Action Task Force to place Pakistan on global terror financing watch list. Senate has been informed that India is behind anti-Pakistan campaigns in the United States and European countries. Supreme Court has issued arrest warrants for former ambassador to Washington Hussein Haqqani. In occupied Kashmir, a protest rally was held in Srinagar today against killing of innocent civilians and illegal detention of Hurriyat leaders by Indian forces. The United Nations says over 10,000 Afghan civilians were killed and wounded in war-torn country last year. China has expressed anger over Indian Prime Minister's visit to disputed state of Arunachal Pradesh. And now the news in detail. Pakistan has expressed serious concerns regarding the U.S. motion with Financial Action Task Force to place Pakistan on a watch list. Addressing weekly news briefing in Islamabad today, Foreign Office spokesperson Dr. Mohammad Faisal said such motions are aimed to hamper the economic growth of Pakistan. FATF is an international body that sets standards relating to combating of money laundering and terrorist financing. He said Pakistan remains committed to combating terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. Replying to a question, Dr. Faisal said the Afghan president's tweets regarding Naqibullah Mahsood case is an act of interference in Pakistan's internal affair. He said Pakistan strongly rejects the allegations of certain Indian police and defense officials and media insinuations in connection with the reported attack on Sujwan camp in occupied Kashmir. Minister of State for Finance Rana Muhammad Afzal Khan says India is behind anti-Pakistan campaigns in the United States and the European countries. Responding to a calling attention notice in the Senate today, he said the government and the missions abroad took up the matter of Free Balochistan and Free Karachi campaigns with the relevant authorities in Washington and the European capitals. About a motion put forward by the US and Britain with the Financial Action Task Force to place Pakistan on a global terrorist financing watch list, the Minister of State for Finance said Pakistan has strongly reacted to this move, which is politically motivated. He pointed out that Pakistan has done more than any other country against money laundering and terror financing. We have not only made legislations but also confiscated properties of certain proscribed outfits. He expressed the confidence that under the given steps, the country will not be put on the watch list. The chair and other members of Senate have voiced concerns on the recent IMF report in which it suggested the country to make drastic changes its National Finance Commission award. Chairman Senate Miara Zarabani said IMF cannot dictate the country on the distribution of resources amongst the provinces. The National Assembly was informed today that an estimated 600,000 cases of polio-related paralysis and deaths have been prevented in the country due to consistent efforts of the government. Parliamentary Secretary for National Health Services Farhana Qamar told the House that the number of polio cases have steadily declined from highs of 306 in 2014 to just 8 last year, while no polio case has been reported during the current year. Prime Minister Shahid Khaqan Abbasi says the government is committed to development of Gilgit-Baltistan and socio-economic empowerment of its people. Talking to Chief Minister Gilgit-Baltistan Hafiz Hafizur Rahman in Islamabad today, he said CPEC will create new economic opportunities for the people of the region. He assured the Chief Minister that all proposed projects relating to Gilgit-Baltistan under CPEC portfolio will be pursued for their early implementation. He said Dir Chitral CPEC Link Road project is being accorded priority. President Mamnoon Hussain says Pakistan and China are connected in all-weather friendship and both the countries stood with each other in every thick and thin. In his message on the occasion of Chinese New Year and Jashn-e-Bahara, he said both the countries are engaged in all-round cooperation, setting a shining example of friendly state-to-state relations. He said China-Pakistan Economic Corridor project has infused a new impetus to the already strong bonds between the two countries. The Supreme Court has issued arrest warrants for former Pakistan ambassador to the United States Hussein Haqqani. Warrants have been issued for violating his oath. During the hearing, Director General FIA Bashir Memon told the court that a letter has been written to Interpol for issuance of red warrants for his arrest. A 3-member bench of the Apex Court is hearing the case. This is Radio Pakistan. In occupied Kashmir, a protest rally was held in Srinagar today against the killing of innocent civilians, illegal detention of Hurriyat leaders and activists, and frequent cordon and search operations carried out by Indian forces. According to Kashmir Media Service, participants of the rally carried placards and banners reading anti-India and pro-freedom slogans. Speakers on the occasion condemned the Indian authorities for subjecting Kashmiri people to political vendetta for seeking their internationally accepted right to self-determination. The chairman of Dukhtaran-e-Millat, Asian Darabi, in a statement in Srinagar, criticized the authorities of wreaking havoc on the inmates of Srinagar Central Jail. China has expressed anger over a visit by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the disputed state of Arunachal Pradesh. Chinese Foreign Minister spokesman Zhang Shuang said in a statement that Chinese government has never recognized the so-called Arunachal Pradesh and is firmly opposed to the Indian leader's visit to the contested area. He said his government will lodge protest with the Indian side. China claims the region is the Eastern Himalayas as South Tibet, and it has denounced Indian leaders' visits there as attempts to bolster India's claims. The United Nations has said more than 10,000 Afghan civilians were killed and wounded in the war-torn country last year. United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights Zeid Ra'ad Al Hussein said in a statement that overall civilian toll last year was 3,438 killed and 7,015 wounded. Women and children were heavily affected by the violence, with 359 women killed last year and 865 injured. The number of child casualties was 861 killed and 2,318 wounded. The Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Haile Desalegn, has resigned from his post. He also stepped down as chairman of the country's ruling coalition. His departure comes amid months of anti-government protest in Ethiopia's largest regions, Oromia and Amhara. The United Nations envoy to Syria, Staffan de Mistura, has termed current situation in the country as most worrying and dangerous in the last 4 years. During a Security Council meeting, de Mistura said that the aid that was allowed into eastern Ghouta yesterday represents only a fraction of the required amount. Delegates to the meeting agreed to form a constitutional committee on Syria. In South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa will be elected as a new president today after the resignation of former President Jacob Zuma. This was stated by Chief Whip of the ruling African National Congress, Jaskin Mathuba, during a parliamentary committee meeting in Cape Town. Germany has urged Serbia to accept the independence of Kosovo, its former province, if it wants to join the European Union. German Foreign Minister Sigmar Gabriel, while addressing a joint news conference with Kosovo's Prime Minister Ramush Haradinaj in Pristina, said it is a central condition for Belgrade to take the path toward Europe. And finally, the weather report. Mainly cold and dry weather is expected in most parts of the country during the next 12 hours. Partly cloudy weather is likely in upper parts of the country. Indian forces targeted a van carrying school children in Batal sector on the line of control today. According to ISPR, the van driver embraced martyrdom in the incident. The Indian approach to terrorizing the civilians is violation of Geneva Convention and ceasefire understanding. And that is the end of the news. For more news and analyses, log on to our website, radio.gov.pk, and also watch live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.